Space, the final frontier. These are the continuing voyages of the HMS Heathen Dog as it boldly goes through new gaming systems to find new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no role-playing reviewer has gone before. That's right, to your mom.
Oh, God, that got dark. Oh, man. Okay, well, that was something. All right, everyone. Hello. Thank you for tuning in. Hope we find you well here today. Today, we're going to go over Star Trek Adventures. We're going to go over the system. Now, it's a 2D20 system by Modiphius, so a lot of you may not be familiar with it. And while it's not too terribly difficult, it is new information for most people, so I'm going to use the majority of my time here to talk about it. That's why I have this as part 1 of 2. And if you're looking for more Star Trek Adventures or more tabletop RPG explanations and workthroughs, go ahead and subscribe and like and all that good stuff. We appreciate it. And if you don't like me at all, you just don't like the cut of my jib, then go ahead and dislike. That's fine too. Just make sure to comment below and tell me what's wrong with my jib and how do I recut it.
The algorithm doesn't care as long as there's someone clicking something.
Exactly. All right, so let's go to the credits. The publisher is Modiphius Entertainment. It came out in 2017. The lead system designer was Nathan Dowdle. And you can get your very own copy of DriveThruRPG, the hardcover and PDF combo for $61.87, or you can go to eBay, just get the hardcover, gently used, $44.75, or what I recommend is Amazon. If you're looking for a hardcover, go to Amazon, because then you get it for $37.86.
Oh, you got a little robot-y there.
Oh, I did?
Oh yeah, you're very robot-y right now.
I'm robot-y.
My connection's good, but you're a robot right now.
I am the robot.
Yes, you are.
Beep, boop. All right, now I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about the hardcover. Now, I have it right here. I got it as a gift. And as you can see, all of the pages...
Ooh, those are nice pages.
Are black.
That's now, a lot of
also,
ink.
I don't know if you can see the reflectiveness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it makes it terribly difficult to read. You have to have the light in a perfect position to read it, or else you have to keep adjusting the book up and down and left and right depending on where you are on the page. So the black paper, while cool looking, does not bode well for reading in an inside environment with a light bulb. So I don't like that about the book. Now, the thing is, the PDF I have is the opposite. It has black lettering and white pages, which is worse for reading on a screen. So if they switched them, if they had the black pages for the PDF and the white pages for the book, that would actually be easier reading. So I just want to tell you that. Just be ready for that.
That's very strange.
Get the book. It is. I know, right? It is. Anyway, I wanted to get that down for you. All right, now let's take a look at the system. This is what we're going to do today. We're going to look at the 2D20 system. We're going to do a generic, as generic as I can, because the 2D20 system isn't just for this game. Modiphius has other games that use this system. So we're going to talk about the dice, the D20 dice, how they're used. We're going to talk about the ideas of momentum and threat in other games. In other D20 games, it's called doom instead of threat, but in Star Trek Adventures, it's called threat. And then we're going to talk about the D6s and how they're used. Now, this is going to be for pretty much any D20, 2D20 game out there. And then after that, we're going to talk about Star Trek Adventure specific information. We're going to talk about attributes, discipline, focuses, talents, values, and determination. All of these are used in one way or another to affect the dice in the system. So that's why they're here and not just in character generation. All right, let's start off with the basic 2D20 overview. Okay, now, whenever you're going to use a 2D20 system, you have two D20 dice, and you have a difficulty number that the game master assigns, usually from 0 to 5. Now, the difficulty number is the number of successes required on your D20 to succeed at that particular task or event. Now, your target number for your D20 is all based on you. The game master does not assign target numbers ever. Target number is based on how good you are at doing something. For example, in this instance, there is an attribute of a 10, let's say it's strength. The person has a, this is just this isn't in Star Trek Adventures, but this is just an attribute you'll be familiar with. They have a strength of 10 and say melee combat of 4. That's their attribute and their skill. You add those together, 10 and 4, 14. That is your target number. That never changes. That's your target number. The only thing that changes difficulty-wise is the number of successes required on your D20s to consider yourself succeeding at that task. So let's say you roll your 2D20 and you roll a 9 and a 14. You succeeded at a difficulty 1 task because you got 1 success. Okay. Now, what if you needed 2 or more successes? You only have 2D20. So what if you needed both of them to hit to succeed at this task because it's inherently more difficult? Okay. Well, that's when we start getting into momentum. Momentum is an idea that when you succeed at something really, really well, you have flair, you have drive, you have gumption, you do it in such a way where it inspires other people. This creates momentum for your side. You know, those who understand, you know, sports and stuff, even creating momentum is a real mechanic in the game of, you know, football, say. And it's the same here. So every time someone creates more successes than required, and they don't spend the momentum immediately, it can be put into a momentum pool that anyone can use later on to augment any of their die rolls. Now, you can augment them in several ways. The first one is you can add another D20 to your roll. Okay, the first D20 costs 1 momentum. The second D20 costs 2 momentum, and the third D20 costs 3 momentum. So if you get an extra D20, and the cool thing is you can buy dice with momentum after you've rolled. You roll, crap, I need 1 more success. Well, give me I want to use the momentum, get another D20 and roll it and just add it in. You can do that. Or you can use momentum to create advantages or complications. Advantages for you. Like, for example, let's say you're in a phaser fight with an evil Romulan, because everyone knows Romulans are evil, and you want him to have a bad time. So you use 2 momentum. See, that 2M is 2 momentum, creating a complication for your enemy. You create a complication that his weapon is low on power. That's a complication for his weapon. It doesn't immediately affect him, but it's something he's going to have to deal with rather than dealing with you later on. Stuff like that. And you can create advantages for yourself. Like you can give yourself the high ground to give yourself an advantage in combat or looking around or whatever, stuff like that, by spending 2 momentum. You can obtain information. For example, you're using your tricorder and you are scanning an obelisk of unknown origin, and you succeed. But you get just basic information. You want more detailed information, you have to spend 1 momentum, and the game master will give you more detailed information pertinent to what you're looking for. If you spend 2 momentum, you will get all the information relevant to you by this from this obelisk type device. And the game master can't lie about this. He's got to tell you everything that you could possibly need to know about this thing because you spent the 2 momentum and succeeded at the task. But what if there's no momentum in the pool and you need to make this roll? Well, you can buy momentum. You can buy it from the game master in exchange for threat, or if you're not playing STA, then Doom. And this gives the game master a kind of momentum pool of his own that he can use for the NPC villains. Now let's see how that works. Threat. The game master, like I said, uses threat just like players use momentum. You can also alter the game in all the ways that a player can alter the game. He can give an enemy more D20s. He can give you a complication or give his NPCs an advantage. He can create problems for you by making a task more difficult. Like for example, if an NPC enemy uses suppressing fire, just full auto, just bam, 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 just in your entire area. Probably not going to hit you, but it's going to mess up your concentration when trying to activate this broken shield generator. So it'll make it 1 more difficult. Instead of a difficulty 1 or 2, now it'll be 2 or 3. That's creating difficulty for the player. You can also use momentum to call reinforcements for his side. He can use 1 momentum to call a thug, like a low-level NPC villain, to the fray if you're winning too easily, or if it's calls for the story. Or he can use 2 momentum to call a lieutenant type character, a stronger NPC villain, to come to the fight immediately. And he can also alter the environment using threat. Spend 2 or more threat. You can the game master can create a warp core event, or a plasma leak, or something that alters the environment to make it hazardous. That unless you fix it, you're going to take increasing damage every round. Stuff like that. To increase the story complication and therefore excitement. Now, threat momentum, like I said, have pools. If you don't use your momentum that you've gained from a very successful task, you can put it in the pool so other people can use it later. Now, this carries over throughout the entire game. The pool diminishes by 1 after every scene, which is like every encounter. But other than that, it will carry through the entire adventure. So at the end of the adventure, a lot of times both the players and the game master will have giant pools of momentum and doom or threat, and then that will create a real climactic battle. A no holds barred, everything's blowing up, everything's rolling boxcars, or everything's snake eyes, stuff like that. It really it makes for an exciting final scene. So that's why they have the pools, carry on beyond the initial scene that you're in.
I just wonder how fast pools actually build in gameplay.
Oh, that's an excellent thing. I'm going to tell you that right now. What a lot of people do is they will take difficulty 0 tasks, which means that you don't need a success to
just so they can build momentum.
Yes, you can choose to either roll or automatically succeed. If you automatically succeed, you're considered to get no successes because you don't need successes, but you succeed in the task. If you want to roll, you can roll. And most people do, especially if you have a high number, a high target number, because every single success you roll automatically goes into the momentum pool.
All right.
And that can be used for everybody later on. So a real tactic for this game, for the 2D20 game, is to roll as much as possible on really, really simple tasks, difficulty 0 or difficulty 1 tasks that you have really high scores in, because then you can build even more momentum. As an example here, let's say this is a difficulty 1 task, and you are Lieutenant Paris from Voyager. You have a piloting ability that this is like you have to go around to the other side of the planet. Difficulty 0, okay? Difficulty 0, but you want to roll. Your target number is 17 or lower, which means you have to roll 17 or lower on a D20 to win. You take a momentum from the pool to add a die. All right? The reason being is because what I'm going to get into in a little bit, you have a focus on piloting maneuvers. That means whenever you're maneuvering a starship, every success counts as 2 success. Every success on the D20 counts as 2 successes for the task. So you roll. You roll 3 dice because you borrowed 1 from the momentum pool, and let's say you gained all 3 successes. That's 2, 4, 6 successes. You need none of them to see in this task. All 6 go in the pool. You took 1 away from the momentum pool and you added 6 into it. You netted 5 for everybody else with that 1 maneuver.
All right.
Now, yeah, does it sound cheap?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Now, the game master has the ability to disallow you from rolling a 0 difficulty task. He has the ability to do that. It's all up to the game master. You can ask. He doesn't have to say yes. So remember that. All right, now we're going to move on to the D6s. These are the other dice you need. You only need 2 kinds of dice, D20s and D6s. These are challenge dice. These dice you roll to see how effective a successful task is. Usually damage or resistance to damage or some other variable that can happen because of a successful task. Now, they're not just regular 1 through 6. No, these are a modified D6. You can purchase these from Modiphius. They have special D6 die to where one side has a 1, one side has a 2, 2 sides are blank, and then 2 sides have the Starfleet symbol. All right. Now, what this is the Starfleet symbol on a regular D6 is a roll of a 5 or a 6. That gives you 1 as a result, plus the effect goes off. Now, what is the effect? An effect is usually the special ability of the device that you're using, usually a weapon. For example, all Federation phasers have a certain effect. If you roll an effect die, it is, I believe, penetrating, to where you roll an effect die, and for each effect die that you roll, it takes away 1 from the resistance of your target. And the Klingon or Romulan, they have vicious. I think Klingon has vicious, to where for every time you roll an effect, you get an extra damage die, or an extra damage every time an effect is rolled on top of what you roll regular. So, for example, let's say you roll. You shoot someone with a phaser, and you roll 4d6 challenge dice, okay, and you roll a 1, 3, 4, 5, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 2. So for the 1 and the 2, you get 1 and 2 damage, so that's 3. For the 4, you get nothing, that's a 0. But for the 5, you get 1, so that's 4 damage, plus the effect goes off, the effect of a Starfleet phaser. So not only do you do 4 damage, but the effect goes off as well. And that's basically what the D6 dice are used for. They're used as challenge dice, using the challenge die result to give you the relative strength or weakness of a successful task. Basically it. Okay, now does anyone have any questions about the basic 2D20 system? Anything that you have anything on anything that I touched on that you want me to expand on? Because before I advance, I want to know if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and throw the comments below. I'll try to answer that when they come in. But for everyone here on Twitch right now, this is your chance. You got 10 more seconds. This is your chance to ask me anything about what I've just talked about, and I will answer it to the best of my ability. Oh, we're good. Okay, you're good.
All right, very good. That's very nice.
Now, let's talk about the Star Trek Adventures game more specifically. Okay, we're going to look at characteristics now. The first 2 characteristics are attributes and disciplines. Your attributes are your base innate natural ability at something, and your disciplines are what you are trained in usually by Starfleet. You're trained to do. So your attributes are control, which is your ability to do precise action and mental discipline. Daring, which is action. I said action without planning, but it's kind of like throwing caution to the wind, going in with not complete information, and just saying YOLO, F it, Leroy Jenkins, stuff like that. You would roll daring plus something else. Fitness. This is your strength and fortitude. This is your ability to do damage, your ability to lift things, your ability to resist poisons or physical torture, stuff like that. It would be a fitness-based target number. And then there's insight. Insight is your empathy you have with other people, your ability to read other people's states, and also your general wisdom and experience. If that is part of a role, then that would be the base of your role. Presence is basically your power personality. Like Kirk had a giant presence. He walked in the bridge. He walked in the bridge. This is for intimidation, normal diplomacy, I suppose, stuff like that. That's what your presence is rolled for. And then you have reason. This is your intelligence and your raw intelligence, your ability to compute things, think things through logically, and observation, your ability to see things other people don't, or see things more clearly than other people can. Your base would be reason. Now, your disciplines add to your attributes to create your target number, but this part is what you are trained in. This is your training on top of your innate ability. So the disciplines are command, which is your ability to lead. So if you were say on a battlefield and you grab the flag from the standard bearer and you wave it in the air and you say, "Gung ho, man, let's ride!" and you just run into the fray, that would be daring and command. That would be your target number to get people to follow you. You should try to make that roll, because a guy running into a battlefield alone is just a dead guy. And then there's con. This is your ability to pilot a vehicle, be it a starship, a shuttle, a bike, whatever. This is your training in piloting. Then there's engineering, creating and repairing technology. Mostly, if it's fine work, it'll be control, which is precision plus engineering. If it's a more manual labor type thing, like you have to put together this giant machine, it might be fitness plus engineering, because you have to lift 50-pound parts and put them in in just the right way. It all depends on the game master. The game master chooses the attribute and the discipline that is relevant for the target number in this task.
That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah. Then there's security. Security is using and gauging force. Now, I made that very vague because it is very vague. Use security when fighting, both melee and range combat. Use security if you're analyzing a situation tactically. If you want to create a choke point, if you want to create an ambush point, if you're looking for possible ambush points you could walk into, you would roll, for the attack part, you would roll fitness plus security. For the ambush point thing, you would roll either reason plus security. No, it would be not either. It'd be reason plus security in my mind. That would be it. So all of your disciplines, depending on how you use them, can be attached to different attributes. And of course, there's medicine, the physical and mental aspects of a living being. This is recognizing, treating diseases. This is applying first aid, understanding that blood spurting out of the body in large quantities is super bad, stuff like that. Now, here's the thing. All Starfleet personnel have at least one in each of these disciplines. They don't let you out of the academy unless you are at least barely competent in all of these things. Attributes range from 7 to 12. Disciplines range from 0 to 5. But you as a player character is going to be 1 to 5. Okay, now, next we have more characteristics. We have focuses. I briefly talked about that earlier. A focus is a specialty. Let's say Montgomery Scott. He has a really high reason and control, and he has a really high engineering, but he specializes in, say, warp core mechanics. So that means any role having to do with warp core mechanics, every success counts as 2 successes instead of 1. Now, to be fair, rolling a 1 counts as 2 successes all the time. But with a focus, a simple success becomes a double success. And then we have talents. Talents are abilities specific to the character that gives you some kind of advantage. Now, talents, when you're making your character, you start with 4. And they range from resilient, which means that when you're fighting off a disease or physical interrogation, you get an extra D20 to your relevant task. Or some of them, like I believe there's a piloting skill that allows you to re-roll any or all D20s you want in a task related to your talent. Like, your talent has to be super specific. Like, it can't just be piloting starship. No, it has to be piloting shuttle or piloting a specific kind of shuttle. It has to be specific. And in that situation, you get the benefits. Or maybe you have a talent that gives you your speed reading. That means absorbing large amounts of information in a short amount of time. You have a reduced difficulty. You need less successes than most people to do the same task. Great. Now, you and your game master can talk amongst each other and come up with brand new talents that you make up for character generation. As long as it doesn't break the rules and there isn't a talent that already does that, the game master can allow it. It's great.
All right, makes sense to me.
There you go. Now, that is where we're going to stop for today. All right. Now, what I've done in the last episode, I did errors and expectations and backdrop and roles, basically the introduction to the thing. And today mostly was the 2D20 system, because I want to make sure everyone had a grasp of it before we continue on to combat, movement, and zones, and how is Starship Combat different. Now, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek on this. Starship Combat is basically the same as regular combat. All right, basically the same. So you're not going to have to learn two different combat systems. You're only going to have to learn one combat system. It will apply to both on the ground and in space. You're good. There are some nomenclature changes, so that's what I'm going to go over after I do combat. And then after that, I'm going to do the character generation portion, where we make a character from scratch, from start to finish, and maybe even make a side character. Because during character generation, I'm going to talk about the whole side character shtick. They have that in this game, which I think is pretty neat. I'm going to explain that later. Don't worry. I'm going to get there. So, your thoughts. What do you think about this RPG system? What are your thoughts on the 2D20 system? What do you think about it? That's what I want to know. Because before Star Trek Adventures, I had no idea that the 2D20 system existed. You know, I didn't have any Modiphius Entertainment games. Max Liao introduced them to me. He has some Modiphius Entertainment games, so he knew the 2D20 system. So what do you think of it? Is it better? Is it worse than what you're used to? Let me know in the comments below. Is there a tabletop RPG you want me to review? I'll check it out. Don't worry about it. And if you like this video and you want more, please share it with your friends. If you like tabletop games, your friends like tabletop games, go ahead and share this with them. And so they'll even like you more. I promise. It's going to be good stuff. And of course, subscribe to Legion of Myth for your anime, comics, and games needs.
Be a Legionnaire.